Badland Hunters is a Korean action movie that just came on Netflix. It's pretty over the top, but pretty fun. Really simple story, not a masterpiece that's going to change your life or anything. Just a really fun old school action movie with a little bit of comedy. It's not too serious, but there's definitely some dark parts that takes place in a dystopian version of our world. It's actually a sequel to a movie called Concrete Utopia about a giant earthquake that puts Korea into a really dystopian state. But you don't need to see it to see this movie. I actually didn't even know it existed until I was making this video just now. The premise of Badland Hunters is super simple. An earthquake has devastated Korea. It's dystopian. There's dust everywhere. It's hard to even get clean water. The main guy is Nam San, played by Ma Dong-seok, who is in Train to Busan. He's probably the best character in that movie if you've seen that one. I'm terrible with the Korean names, so I'll apologize now. He's adopted this kid who's about 18, Choi Ji-won, and they live in like a little dusty area, kind of hunting and trying to help provide food for the people that live there. Everybody's super dirty. There's not much around. It's kind of a wasteland. And this girl that Choi likes, Han Suna, gets offered to go to an apartment complex with her grandma that has people and clean water. Obviously, all sounds too good to be true. And what we find out is there's a mad scientist there doing experiments on kids, and he's killed hundreds to try to combine lizard genetics with human genetics in order to bring back his dead daughter, as well as help humans survive without things like water. Really simple, straightforward plot. It's a pretty action-heavy movie. It's an hour and 45 minutes, and there's not really any slow parts. The action is very stylized, though. It's not like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or crazy. It's just typical over-the-top. He punches a guy, they slide like 8 feet, that sort of thing. The shotgun he uses blows people's whole head off. There's some pretty good levity in here. It's not like a hilarious movie, but there's definitely parts that I laughed at. I think it's a pretty cool world and like the execution and style. Like everything looks dusty and dirty and grimy. You see them trying to filter their water, but it still looks kind of cloudy and gross. And just like any action heavy movie like this, there's definitely some contrivances and coincidences and parts where you're like, oh, they probably should have died there. But when you go for more stylized and over the top action, it kind of works. Like for instance, Choi and Namsan are out checking their snares the night that Han Suna leaves with this group to what they think is a clean apartment. And the guise of the apartment is they want children mainly and young people to build the future. So their grandma goes with Suna and she's getting tired and they're like, oh, we'll take you to the medical checkpoint. And it's all pretty suspicious. Suna kind of figures it out almost right away. They take the grandma away and another old guy and kill him. And Choi happens to see the grandma get killed. And it's like, these people have been walking for half a day. How did they end up in the same place? It's like that kind of stuff. There's parts where they're just mowing down the red shirts, the cannon fodder type characters. And you're like, huh, not very many people are shooting at them. Or, you know, somebody misses their cue a little bit for the fight scene. So it looks like they were just kind of standing there watching instead of jumping in. But overall, it's really fun. It's not anything serious. Like I said, it's not a masterpiece. Just kind of refreshing to see it. Pretty cool concept, you know, a dystopian world because of a huge earthquake. You have a mad scientist trying to combine lizard people with children's DNA and killing them. And he's a total lunatic. And Choi and Namsan need to go rescue the girl. Classic Mario type story. Along the way, because they want to break into this base, which has ex-military people guarding it, they run into a sergeant who escaped when she found out what was going on, named Lee Yoon-ho. And she helps them get inside, and they go fight these gangsters who were delivering people to this base so that they can infiltrate and rescue people. The parents in the base are put into the bottom of the basement to provide clean drinking water for the kids, but there's actually a chemical in it that messes with their pituitary gland, so this guy can do his experiments. And I have to say, they really committed to the mad scientist being an absolute lunatic, which I appreciate. A lot of stuff I feel like they'll kind of pull their punches or they'll hold back. The movie's opening scene, they're trying to arrest this guy, and they're like, hey, you've already killed over 100 people in your experiments. And that's when the earthquake happens, and that's how he gets away. And even then, he was doing this research on lizards to try to cure his daughter. And then you get some pretty wild stuff too, like when they're fighting at the base, he's been doing the experiments on adults also. So a lot of the guys that work for him have these little bumps behind their ears because they're starting to become like lizard-ish combined with human. Like the one guy eats mice whole. There's a part where he pulls off some of his skin and he's got like lizard scales under it. There's a group they find from the early experiments that all have lizard tongues and they've just gone crazy. So it's definitely got a very sci-fi dystopian thing going with it. But the mad scientist, every time you think like, oh, they're finally going to get his ass and be done with him, he just goes crazier. He's just consistently evil, kills multiple people in the movies, even when he's lost. He has this kind of Scarface scene where he just starts trying to mow people down for spite. But yeah, overall, really fun movie. I wouldn't cancel plans for it, but if you've got an evening where you're just hanging out, want to put something on, definitely worth watching. Maybe if you're hungover on a Saturday or Sunday, check it out. For me, I wish we had more of this thing. It's nice to not get crazy convoluted stories that are full of messaging and themes and politics. You can just have a simple guy likes girl, he wants to rescue her. He has to kill a bunch of dudes to do it. No need to make things complicated. No need to make it have some deep philosophical message. Just go for it. And obviously there is a message in there about morality and it's justifying the means and that sort of thing, but nothing, it's not super deep. It's not going to change your life. Nice and simple, fun. That's it for me for this one. I don't want to talk too long about it. It's one of those that if you're into the type of movie, go watch it. If it's not your thing, skip it. No big deal either way. If you've watched it, comment, let me know what you think. I try to respond to everything that's not just an insult. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.